Harvard Divinity School.
Uses and abuses of power in alternative spiritualities. Implications for spiritual care of patients and communities. April 27th, 2023.
Thank you, Owen, and good morning to all. Welcome to our performance, Transforming the Poison of Abuse into Medicine. My name is Kundal Kathleen McGoy. This is Dao Shr, and this is Maureen Momo Freehill. Our session is interactive, and we invite you to move with us. However, you're also welcome to remain seated and visualize the movement. We will begin with nesting.
So in order to have an appropriate nest, I would like to spontaneously give gratitude to Maureen Momo Freehill and give her the chance to introduce herself because it was not recorded on this recording. So Momo, if you'd like to say a moment about your amazing capacity.
Thank you. I didn't have anything prepared, but I just feel really honored to be here. I'm Maureen Momo Freehill, MFA. I have a master's in fine arts from University of Hawaii. I've been a performer and teacher of embodied arts in nature for my whole life, for the past 30 years. I'm honored to be able to be here to present as the embodiment of the qigong practices of restorative justice. You can check out my bio in the information for the group, and I will post something in the chat as well if anyone wants to be in touch with me. Thank you very much. I'm at dailydance.us. Thank you, Dao Shr.
Hooray, hooray. So the idea of Taoism as a method for healing combined with restorative justice. We need to find our source. We need to find our divine center. So divine center, we do not know your name, so we call you Dao. And in Taoism, we have external altars and internal altars and sky altars. We also have ground altars. There's lots of them. The multiplicity and the multivalence is phenomenal. But today I want to specifically focus on the spiritual transformation of harms that, when we feel betrayed, it really can affect our heart. And so I'm going to have you shake a little bit. So when I was coming over here today to get ready for this, I saw a beautiful blue heron. And then I saw a beautiful osprey. And these osprey, they are living in these trees and they're nesting. And so there are little babies nesting in these altars on the earth. So I'd like you to think of forming this hand sign. So this is called the sword fingers. And when they come together, they form a stable mountain. And so we'll be doing these gestures as a way to communicate with the Tao without words. So sometimes there'll be just movements without words. And sometimes it'll feel good to follow along and do them with us. So we call upon the sacred Tao as the harmonizing force of nature and allowing this sacred mountain to be stable and still. And as you inhale a golden light. And as you exhale a purple light, knowing that the healing has already begun and is complete. The movements that we'll do in this activity together will do some things to build empathy, to build the perspective of all those involved in a harmful situation. Then Momo will share the rivers of qi, and then the 5 restorative justice principles in qigong, and then the 9 pillars to settle all of this healing power. So to open the altar today, we're going to visualize and actualize the stability of this mountain. The mountain can contain all. Then allow a nest to form on this beautiful mountain where there's a gorgeous tree. Notice your roots deep into the earth. Notice the grounding. Allow your breath to go deep into the earth, deep into your roots. Then one hand forming sort of a cupped nest at the middle of your chest. Then the other hand coming on top of it and the thumbs connecting. This is your altar. This is where all this transformation can occur in your heart. Repeat after me. Sky, lake, fire, thunder, wind, water, mountain, earth. This is the primordial space. This is where we can begin anew. This is where we can restore and regenerate. Now swiftly, by the rule of compassion, filled with respect, may this magical Daoist performance nurture and nourish all that participate or witness this amazing rite of well-being.
Thank you, Dao Shr. Now we'd like to invite you to participate in an activity to guide you through the framework of restorative justice. For this activity, we are going to invite you to enter your responses into the chat. So if you find the little icon at the bottom of your screen that says chat, please click on that now. And if you'd prefer not to answer in the chat, you also are welcome to just hold your thoughts and responses in your mind, in your own mind. We'll give everyone a moment to open the chat. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and give you time after each question to answer and put your response in the chat. The first question is, think back to a time when you were part of a spiritual community or group and you learned that there had been an incident of hurt or harm. So you weren't directly involved, but you learned about something that had happened that had affected others in your community. What did you need as a member of that community? So again, thinking back to a time when you were a member of a spiritual group or community and you learned that there had been an incident of hurt or harm that you weren't directly involved in. What were your needs? Okay, I'm seeing support, acknowledgement of the abuse, and valid discussion. Yes, thank you. Clarification. Coming together. Yes, thank you. Understanding and compassion. Yes. Forgiveness. Yes, thank you. I needed permission to retain good relationships with everyone involved so that there would be space for healing us all and restoring trust. Beautiful, thank you. A second question is now thinking about a time when you were a member of a spiritual community or group and you experienced hurt or harm directly. What were your needs at that time? So again, the second question, a time when you were a member of a spiritual community and you were directly affected, directly experienced hurt or harm. What were some of your needs at that time? Space and distance. I needed to be protected, loved, supported, and believed. Yes, thank you. To be believed and understood, to feel accompanied. Thank you. Taking all of those needs in, needs for understanding, support. Okay, third question. Think back to a time when you were a member of a spiritual group or community and you caused harm. This could have been inadvertently. Perhaps it wasn't your intention to cause hurt or harm, but you were aware after the fact that you had. What were your needs after that incident of harm? So again, the third question is thinking back to a time when you caused hurt or harm within a spiritual group or community, even if it was inadvertent. What were your needs at that time? Compassion. Feedback, yes, to learn more about the impacts of our actions. To be given opportunities to make amends. Understanding others' point of view and compassion. Development of empathy. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who may just be holding your thoughts in your mind about needs in each of these roles. In restorative justice, we center the needs of all three of these experiences, whether you have been indirectly impacted, directly harmed, or you recognize that you're responsible for causing harm. We invite the lived knowledge and experience and wisdom of each of those three roles and acknowledge and validate those experiences, and then draw on the wisdom of all involved to identify what needs to happen to repair relationships so that each member can be reintegrated into a transformed and healed community. Now, this is not an easy process, and yet it serves to bring us back together instead of relying on methods like exclusion and punishment. For restorative justice to work, this might be the most important thing I can share with you about restorative justice, is that it requires proactive relationship building to take place prior to the harm. So we need to be preventative. We need to create experiences of belonging, of knowing each other, of seeing and hearing each other, and cultivate a culture of a restorative community so that we're ready to respond to misunderstanding, conflict, abuse, and violence if and when it occurs. Thank you so much for engaging in this process. Now, we'd like to offer you an opportunity to transform those harms, and we'd like to offer you a healing talisman so that the wisdom remains and the suffering is lessened.
So a talisman is a ticket of request. So the particular Daoist deity that I am requesting is the heavenly healer, the celestial medic, those that are in charge of the poison department. so that they can absorb the poisons and safely transform them for us. So I have a talisman that I am going to offer some incense first to my incense pot. I'm going to add some magical light. Then I'm going to take from the flame and burn this talisman. And without using fire, I'm going to circle it over the altar and allow it to transform.
Thank you, Dao Shr. Now we'll look to Momo to lead us in some qigong forms.
Thank you so much, Kathleen and Dao Shr. The intention of this section is for further, thank you so much for your participation so far. This is to really get an embodied sense of these principles and also to absorb them deeply into our bodies and our cells. So the first level we're going to do is just with our hands, and that is utilizing the medical qigong meridians as a way to integrate the restorative justice principles. There are 5 principles and 5 fingers on our hands, so that works really well. So we're going to start by holding the thumb with your finger and just breathing and feeling the sense of relationship. That's the first principle, what Kathleen was talking about establishing and strengthening and integrating our relationship with ourself, with one another, and with our spirituality. So that happens through this meridian. And then we move to the pinky finger. You can wrap your finger, your hand around, if you like, your right hand over your left. And this is the principle of respect. So important and valuable to feel that respect inside and out as a means to restorative justice. And just breathing with that, feeling that restoration or that respect in your being. Now to the ring finger. The ring finger representing our responsibility. The principle of responsibility, the ability to respond to the situation, to feel responsible and empowered in our own way with our community. In that kind of committed way, we now move to the middle finger and wrapping the middle finger and feeling that central meridian, we feel a sense of repair. The 4th principle is the principle of repair, repairing the harms on all the levels that we were exploring in our conversation. The harms we've witnessed, the harms we've created, the harms we've received. And finally, the 5th principle of reintegration, holding the pointer finger and feeling this sense of now the capacity to reintegrate into and with our community. Restored justice. So now we'll take that into our full body. And if you'd like to join me, we can stand up for the restorative justice qigong form in the full body. And Kathleen will move along with me. Thank you. So first is this arms to the side and to the center. And perhaps you can feel this sense of the bird, and the specific bird that we are experiencing and honoring here is the crane that takes our awareness and our attention from the earth to the sky. And we feel this relationship that's building inside of ourselves from the ground to the heavens, right through the central channel. So allowing this to establish a sense of relationship with above and below, and then we can turn And we can begin to feel this relationship exchanging with others in our lives. We come from this center and we give and we receive. This type of exchange, just feeling that in your body with your breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Beautiful. That's the first principle of relationship. Then coming back to center, we go to that mountain hand sign that we started with. We bring our two swords together and let them rest at our heart, and we feel this sense of respect. What is respect? The stabilization that it allows, the grounded wholeness of self-respect, respect for others, respect for our world and our relationships and environment. Just breathing with that stability. And now we move to the third principle in the embodiment, responsibility. And to that we look to this, the element of the flower. And we bring our palms together just above our heads here. And we allow the responsibility of the flower to bloom. We make our offering in the perfect timing, in the way that we are responsible, allowing the pinkies and the thumbs to touch and the other fingers to open up. Like a gift, we are able to respond to our situation and our environment with our own offering. And you can feel that, sometimes it's time to close and center, sometimes it's time to open and offer. That is our responsibility. Thank you. Now, calling upon the dragon, which is the one who brings from the realms of spirituality back into the earth, we take that possibility for the dragon to bring the blessings and the repair and the healing back into our lives. And this is the dragon of repair. It circles around each of our centers. The head center, the heart center, and the lower belly center. Head, heart, and belly, in a way of harmonizing these three treasures, our lower, our center, and our upper. And then pausing in the middle, we can go the other direction, feeling that weaving and repairing, repair any harms that have been done. We thank the dragon for these blessings, like the blessing of spring rain. Just letting yourself breathe with that and centering again. Now for the final principle, the fifth principle of reintegration, we allow the hands to come down to the sides, and the opposite leg and the opposite hand will be lifting like we're bouncing a ball. So this is the reintegration, the two sides, the above and the below, this sense of harmonizing and returning to life. You could even feel like you're just going to step on into your life and your world, reintegrated from that healing. Wonderful, thank you. Now, as a more meditative practice, we're just going to stand or sit still with our hand signs. This is called the 9 pillars. And so as a in between integrating, we'll do a little bit of shaking to integrate that last piece and open to the next one. And returning to our heart nest, we place one hand at the heart and the other gently in that nest, letting the thumbs touch. With each of these positions, we're going to breathe 3 times and go deeper into ourselves, into establishing this healing. The first hand sign is called Tai Chi. And in Tai Chi, we wrap the thumb like we did earlier, and then we bring the other hand around it like this. So we're holding the left thumb and then allowing that to rest at our lower center in the belly. Breathing here for a sense of balance, yin and yang, duality coming together as one. 3 breaths. Now bringing the hands for number 2, the second pillar is called focus. It's right at the heart. And having a sense of your focus, so important, so valuable to focus at the heart. 3 breaths. The next pillar in our grand rite of well-being of 9 pillars is called the 1 point. And in this one, we clasp all the hands, the fingers together except for the pointer and the thumb. And we make this 1 point. And from the heart that raises above the head, feeling the central channel, this 1 point. 3 breaths. For number 4, we open. We open the hands to receive. We step out with the legs to feel this sense of openness and receptivity. We have the capacity to receive. 3 breaths, receiving. Receiving the healing, the repair, and these principles establishing in our lives. And as we do that, we bring the hands together, palms down, and feeling this sense of grounding. The 5th pillar is ground, connecting with the earth below, feeling the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, the base of the pelvis, the ground. 3 breaths. Once we are grounded, we turn the palms toward ourselves and bring them to just in front of the heart. This is a sense at the number 6 of the heart of humanity. The palms are in and we feel ourselves one with humanity. 3 breaths. On the exhale, we expand, we open the arms out, turn them over, and then we press out with the palms out at the heart. 3 breaths. This is the 7th pillar. Expand and press. Then reaching out and over on the exhale, we gather all these resources full into our whole belly. The palms are up at the base of the pelvis, and there's a sense of being pregnant, full, balanced in this alchemy that happens, this creative alchemy. Noticing your weight evenly distributed between your toes and your heels. With your 3 breaths, we establish this alchemy deep inside. Right here and now. And as this is established, we bring the palms up through the center, flip them at the heart, and send this offering, letting it go completely, releasing this practice and this rite, this offering of creation. And on the exhale, we close by harmonizing the heaven and earth. 3 times, once again, we reach around and then down through the center, exhaling. The legs return together. We close by holding the Tai Chi hand sign. Thank you so much for your practice. Thank you for participating. I'll pass it back to Dao Shr and Kathleen.
Moment of gratitude. The evolution of spirituality. It's very amazing that we can all belong together and have a variety of beliefs. So I'd like to close our magical altar. This is a gift that you can keep forever, but by sealing it and dedicating it, it allows it to remain in a space beyond this dimension. So gently coming back to the 8th dimension, allowing the doors to close, allowing everything to return back to the stability of the mountain. And with the sound, shh, now swiftly by the rule of compassion, filled with respect. May this conference continue in all of its beautiful gifts of healing for everyone. Thank you so much.
Sponsored by the Program for the Evolution of Spirituality.
Copyright 2023, President and Fellows of Harvard College.